It is 36 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Jeff Koinange live here at Citizen Television. Now, Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani has a tough balancing act with borrowing at an all-time high, recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, and an expensive election ahead, coupled with political pressure and Kenyans feeling the brunt of the high cost of living. Now, he spoke with our Faisal Ahmed on the eve of the tabling of his last budget under this current administration. Take a listen.
Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani's last budget, and it is the country's biggest budget at 3.3 trillion shillings. Now, a day before he actually goes to Parliament and presents the budget, we are here at the National Treasury to speak to the CS to see what he has prepared for us. And there are a lot of questions that are on the minds of Kenyans.
Faisal, how are you?
I'm very good. I understand it's a very busy day for you.
Of course, what do you expect?
Thank you very much. What should we expect tomorrow?
This budget will not be very different from last year's budget. But more importantly, we have an overview of the journey that we've traveled with this financial year. Before we start the financial year 2022-2023, we give ourselves an overview of where we are and what we did, what are the policy interventions, the success of those policy interventions, the challenges along the way. Because sometimes, we believe in assumptions with certain projection in terms of revenue measures, expenditure. Maybe we sometimes say we have a good weather. It doesn't turn out to be. There are certain challenges that also come along the way, including now the crisis in Russia, the problem of the COVID pandemic, the locust, a number of things, So we give ourselves an overview of where we are with the implementation of the current financial year. And then number two, now we set policies and priorities for the next financial year, the year now 2022-2023. And in that now we look at the policy interventions that we are going to undertake.
Now, Waziri, before we get deeper into the budget, there's this issue of the fuel crisis in the country. You've mentioned that the prices have been going up. What is the National Treasury's stand on the fuel crisis in the country?
Foremost, I want to confirm to you that yes, indeed, the fuel price has been rising, not only in the Kenyan market, but all over the globe. A number of reasons that has created it. The value of dollar has been increasing. There's the issues of fuel supply. The price has been going up. And if you look at the region, particularly our East African region, fuel price, Kenya has the lowest pump price at the moment. If this government did not intervene, the petrol will be retailing at about 170 shillings per litre this time. But we're still at a level because Treasury behind the scene has been cushioning the users, the citizen, by subsidizing every single month. We subsidize the tune of 8 billion to 10 billion.
But what has caused the current shortage? And why didn't the oil marketing companies who are demanding that government owes them around 13 billion shillings, why were they not paid?
First, not 13 billion. Maybe it's about 5 billion. Because by end of last week, we had paid out 8.2 billion. This is subsidy that was the same. I want to believe that the concerned ministry, the Ministry of Petroleum, should tell us what's happening. I want to believe that as a result of conspiracy between the suppliers to hoard the product and create artificial crisis with a view of, I don't know what they want to achieve, but I have no, because in the past, for the last very, very many months, normally we do not pay on the spot. We pay after every 1 month, and we have an arrangement with the suppliers, and it's never been an issue. So I'm not sure, what caused this crisis. But the grapevine has that they're just trying to create artificial shortage. Whatever one they want to achieve, I have no idea.
Let's get into the budget a bit. And the most sticking issue is the deficit that is in the budget, because Parliament has given you leeway to borrow of up to 400 billion shillings, and I understand there's a deficit of about 446 billion shillings, because the entirety of the deficit is 846 billion shillings. How are you looking to finance this budget, given the constraints that are there, and that you have actually hit the 9 trillion shilling ceiling that was set under your watch in Treasury?
Foremost, not true that we've hit the 9 trillion ceiling. But what we've done, we are departing away from setting nominal numerical targets, whether 9 trillion or whichever amount. But we want to align ourselves with the conventional practice that set a debt anchor, where a room, you have an opportunity to go beyond the threshold based on the circumstances of the time. Because this year or last year could be different. We are assuming a normal projection, but then there's an upset, including like the issue of COVID and the challenges that the global economy can change. So we have proposed, and this is before Parliament now, to change the debt ceiling from debt ceiling to debt anchor, and we are giving ourselves, at a margin at the international level, a separate level of 55% of GDP. And when in a situation where you are allowed to go beyond the 55% ceiling, depending on the circumstances of the time, but you have an obligation as Cabinet Secretary to explain to Parliament on an annual basis on the state of debt.
Waziri, given the sensitivity of the time in which you're preparing this budget, even the time you're reading it, it's very unconventional because we're in April and it's usually read in the middle of the year. Now, is this budget sensitive, or is it going to take care of whichever government comes in? Because a lot of them have different policies and have a lot of different campaign agendas and promises that they're making to Kenyans. Is this budget guaranteed to cater to whatever candidate comes in terms of it will be able to facilitate their agenda and their manifesto?
The structure of government is more or less the same. And the government has history and tradition of budget making, and that was exactly what we've done. But nothing will stop the next government to rearrange or reorganize the budget. That's why we have an opportunity for a supplementary budget. That government, based on the dictate of its time, based on its manifesto, based on situation that they deem fit, they can rearrange the budget.
And finally, Waziri, this is your final budget under this administration, at least. Looking at the previous budget-making processes that you've overseen, what stands out, or what can you say that I have done this over the last few years that I've been at Treasury and I'm really proud of as you're closing this chapter?
Faisal, I am a very contented man. I've worked for a president who has given me the opportunity and the leeway to steer this economy for the last 3 years. And given the global challenges of the time, how we have navigated, I'm very proud that we've come out from those challenges stronger, better, and on course. The policies, programs, the objectives set for ourselves 3 years ago, despite the turbulence along the way, we will now come out better. This is an optimistic budget. This is a budget that, reflects the kind of journey that we want to reach. And they're all enshrined here. We had in our own difficult times. The COVID dealt a big blow to the global economy. And we also not spared in very many ways. But now, reading my last speech under the current president, we don't know what happens tomorrow. That is their problem. But we are presenting also list of successes of our president in the last 9-10 years. If you look at all the macroeconomic indicators are positive. We have moved this country. The per capita income has more than doubled from between 2013 and current. The size of the economy has grown from 5 trillion to over 13 trillion. The number of employment created is in the range of more than 5 million. A lot of these things, we've maintained inflation at a level that's desired in the region. We've increased lending the credit to the private sector in a very sustainable way. And all this macroeconomic stability is good for our own economy, and it's good also for the future, and can only happen when there is stability and proper championing of the economy. And the president, I'm looking at the last 10 years, have only been around now 3 years. But for us to have consolidated all these gains and coming out positively, better than the last 10 years, is something to be proud of. And it's given us a lot of opportunity and leeway to work but produce results. Under very difficult times, we've done well. One of the very important success of my leadership here is the relationship, the mutual relationship that we've built with the international community. Because we do not set our standards at the local level here. The engagement that we've had with IMF, with World Bank, has been seamless. And it's because we do our bit by making sure that whatever we agree in terms of policy interventions, those targets are met within the required time. Indeed, actually, we have achieved a lot of policy reforms. The changes in the respective laws, regulations, certain policy interventions, whether it's on education, whether it's agricultural production, whether it's on health matters, we've succeeded greatly. And that's why, to a great extent, even investment in the country is increasing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Waziri. I know you're very busy right now. There are a lot of things that need your final signature maybe and final approval before the budget is actually presented. You present the budget tomorrow before Parliament. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Yes.